Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Black Men Being Brutally Honest, and this is Kev. Hello, everybody tonight. Yeah, this broadcast is gonna be a little different. Gonna get back to a lot of the things I used to do on this channel, including reporting on news stories, especially ones that hit home. And let's just see how it goes because one thing that we have to deal with in these black men spaces is that um, the, the the plight of black men. Um, we knew about a lot of these things that we have to go through growing up, and there's always been a fundamental problem expressing this to the world at large, and to get the public to see that you know we suffer too. We go through our share of things, and a lot of it is our fault as a people, but a lot of it is also unfortunate circumstances. But um unfortunately, in this particular tragic incident, um a life was lost. um Yeah, this one right here, we have to take this one. It hits home because there's not much stereotype in this kind of incident. This is a shooting on a college campus. And this is not like this is some place that has a reputation for being rowdy and rough. It was in New Mexico. It was in New Mexico. So um it seems as if like we like to fancy ourselves as being like these good people who can make these good decisions, and we worry so much about what goes on the outside and what's going on in other people's lives and stuff, is that we sometimes miss what's right in front of us. And I believe this is such as in the case of Brandon Travis, one of the young men that is of the subject matter tonight. And this is a young man who actually he was the one who was actually killed in all of this. And from his background and his way of life that he seemingly and apparently grew up in, this is one of these things that you never see coming. And the people it hurts the most is the family of the young man that is impacted by this. And when I tell you this story a little bit more, you'll see how things are messed up. And this is not something that is like, especially with this particular incident, this is not new stuff. This is not something that is, unfortunately, an anomaly. This kind of thing happens quite often. And you have enough of hearing about, school shootings, students being involved in, tragic incidences, and you hear enough about that, and then you hear about this one. I first heard about this story on an Instagram page that I follow, named Black Voices Uncensored. And what it was, they were reporting on the girl that was involved in this. Her name was Maya Hill, and how she set up this young man to be lured onto her college campus to be assaulted by three young men that was at the rival school of the man that was being set up. And they jump him, and one thing led to another. He gets shot, but he fires back at the person shooting at him and kills him. Which, by the way, is hell. I mean, imagine you being a parent sending your kid off to school, and I mean, like, not even involved in the incident itself. I mean, just on the campus. You're gonna be thinking like, God damn, I sent my kid into this situation. Let me put something up here for you guys. All right, let me introduce you to the two young men. Okay, on the left is 21-year-old Mike Peak, student athlete. He plays for the New Mexico State University Aggies basketball team. And to your right, the guy smiling in the purple shirt is Brandon Travis. Um, he was like I said, he's not that archetype that you would expect to be involved in an incident such as this. He was an honor student, and he was pretty much a pillar in his community. He was a youth leader, as one of the stories that I will show you in the night will state. Um, yeah, Brandon Travis, the guy in the purple shirt, was the one that was killed. That tragic in that tragic incident. Um, so yeah, this like covering stuff like this. It does something to me because it's a senseless, tragic loss of life for a young black man. And the good that we could do with a story like this, especially for those of us who have young sons, is use this as a cautionary tale. With all due respect to the family of Brandon Travis. This is not meant to offend. This is not meant to. This is not meant to disrespect the family in any way. But I also have choice words for Brandon Travis because, like, in my assessment, as you will hear, as I tell you this story, it's Brandon Travis's fault that he's dead. It really is for a young man who was a youth leader and an academic and an athlete in his hometown. This is truly disappointing to hear that a young man like that seemed to have a bright future on his shoulders would behave like this, even if it was revenge. Now, let me explain the revenge part. Now, any of y'all that have attended a high school in an urban area or a black high school, because I look, when I bring up race in these instances, I care about my people. I don't care about everybody else. I don't care about what's going on with folks. I care about what's going on with my people. You know all about the school rivalries, and it's part of that division that I kind of complain about from time to time on this channel. Um, the like how we always trying to divide ourselves some type of way, whether it be by cities, be by schools, be by gang affiliations, fraternities, sororities, skin tone, which I could be a little guilty of myself, but I always do it in a joking manner. Um, and school is schools in this case rival schools, and what I know about the rival school thing because um, I marched for the bands for several schools, and we always had a rivalry, and I always enjoyed that kind of thing, but with those rivalries comes a little negativity. It comes a little it comes this little, just animosity that sometimes leads to fights. Now, I've almost got into a couple fights because of school rivalries growing up. But one thing, and we weren't perfect back then, and the one thing I can say is that back in those days, like mid late '80s, early '90s, it was anywhere to friendly competition to if it did get violent, the furthest it went was our fist, and we were able to resolve it. And then amongst ourselves, like we'll be like, you did good in that fight, or you got your ass handed to you, and it's still everything will be okay. The only thing you could do is you could try to get revenge, but if you got whooped again, it was your fault. Now, in even reflecting on this particular story, I would even refer to the movie Friday. The serious scene with Ice Cube playing Craig and John Witherspoon playing Pops. He was like he was like, I would never send you off anywhere if I knew you needed a gun. He's like, you kids are too punk, too sissified. You scared to get your asses whooped. Basically saying that you don't need a gun to be a man. And those words stuck with me, even though it was a fictional film, even though it was a comedy, it stuck with me because I knew young men that would get themselves into these violent altercations that would sometimes end in a shooting. I used to hear about this stuff and I used to be extremely horrified. Now it's like drinking water to some of these kids. I used to be extremely horrified. See, game day rivalries are supposed to be fun. And I'm not saying that other races are innocent of this too. Because you've heard of some crazy wild college incidences, like every time, like in like one of these white colleges, when they have a rivalry game and they beat the rival, they toilet paper the campus and turn over cars and makeshift bonfires, just destruction of property and all of this stuff. When we do rivalries, it's always on some violent shit. It's either on some violent stuff or it's some you got us this year, out we'll get you next year type thing. So let's get on with the story. Okay. It was a rivalry football game between New Mexico State University and University of New Mexico. Saturday, October 15th. So there was a fight that broke out that involved several students from each set. Um, and two of the guys are pictured up here, Mike Peake and Brandon Travis. Also, there was an Elisha Upshaw. Let me show you the picture of that. These were the other three students that were involved in the incident. The UNM students who I believe no longer attend the university. You got on your left Jonathan Smith. You got in the middle Elisha Upshaw, who was also involved in the fight, who suffered an injury, a head injury. Um, but it wasn't to the point where I think he was loopy. He just was involved in a fight, and like I said, he was on the end of a beat down. And the one on the end, whose face is blurred out, is named Maya Hill, who is affectionately known by some of her friends as Honey. Um, so the fight happened, and from what I can tell in the story, the one that got the worst of the beating was Brandon Travis. So Brandon Travis, from the way it sounds, found out that Mike Peake, who is 21 years old, was texting back and forth with Maya Hill, who is 17. So I mean, y'all think what y'all want to think about that, and if y'all want to be concerned with age laws, I suggest that you look up the age laws in the state of New Mexico. I didn't take the time to look that up myself because I really wasn't focused on that part of the incident itself. There because there was something much deeper to this. So okay, so I believe it was the morning of November 19th. Yeah, it was the morning of November 19th, like at 3 o'clock in the morning. So basically they were gonna hook up. She told him to come to the campus so her and Mike Pete can hook up and do the wild thing. Yeah, it's like why else would a guy be meeting up with a female at 3 o'clock in the morning? And that has been confirmed. They weren't meeting up to play checkers or anything like that. So let me scroll down these slides a little bit as I tell this story. Okay, so okay. All right, so that's so I where the arrow I have pointed at is that's Mike Peak, and Maya Hill, uh, as he was dropped off by an Uber, walking on to the destination where uh, they're gonna do the deed or something like that. So, okay, as they're walking onto the campus, as I show you this, three young men ran behind them. These three young men are identified as Jonathan Smith, Elisha Upshaw, and Brandon Travis. So they confront uh, they confront Mike Peake and Maya Hill, I believe, like uh, walks away from them, and Brandon Travis puts a gun in Mike Peake's face. Mike Peake gets away from. I mean, well, no, wait a minute. Let me make sure I get it right. Upshaw comes in behind Mike Peake with a baseball bat and hits him in the right leg, and then hits him in the abdomen. So Mike Peake, sensing danger, runs away. Brandon Travis is chasing Mike Peake and firing a gun. Okay, so I think this is either Upshaw or Smith, or Upshaw Smith right here. But these are Upshaw and Smith right here. These two where I have these red dots at. This I tried to make a P is Mike Peake, and this right here is Brandon Travis chasing after him. Now, the reason why Brandon was so mad and adamant about setting up Mike Peake was because of the fact that Brandon Travis got his ass whooped, and he was upset about this. He was very upset about this, and let me give y'all a language warning. Stuff like this pisses me off because of the fact that um, it is like I said with the whole pops thing. Kids act like they can't take an ass whooping. If you can't take an ass whooping, why are you involving yourself in a fight in the first place? I'm sure that there were words that were said, and it was just young men being young, and sometimes he got to throw blows. But if you can't take an ass whooping, I suggest that you sit down. And once again, I have to reiterate, with all due respect to the family of Brandon Travis, I'm sorry that his terrible decision making led him to where he is right now. So Travis is chasing Pete down, shooting a gun at him, and strikes him in the leg. Pete takes out a gun himself, shoots back at Travis, and Travis would die from his injuries. I think he died on campus. Now, who can now? Although the family probably feels a certain way about Mr. Peak, who can blame Mr. Peak for trying to protect himself? Because two things stuck out to me when I, really started to dive into this story. Number one, what are they doing with guns now? Or there's a report that the gun that Brandon Travis was brandishing was a stolen gun. I don't know about the gun that Mike Peake has. Um, so it's like both of them firing at each other on a campus. And number two, it must be some serious shit out in New Mexico for a college student to feel like he has to carry a gun for protection. I get it. You want to you want to keep a gun in your home to protect your family. It depends on what kind of places you go. Whether you want to be armed or not. Say, for instance, if you're like a business manager that wants to do a night drop, to deposit some money in the business account, stuff like that. Even casually carrying a gun to protect yourself because you stay in a rough part of town. But this is college. These are college students. For people who are more in the now, like I said, we do hear about school shootings. We do hear about this type of thing, but the mass shooting thing wasn't that wasn't it at the time. Is the fact that we have a generation of children that believe that we have to solve problems with guns. And that's very alarming for the times, because if it's like this right now, how's it going to be 10 years from now? I thought about the same shit 10 years ago. If it's like this now, how's it going to be 10 years from now? Shit, 20 years ago. How's the future going to be if things are getting this messed up? At the end of all this, who could blame Mike Peake, though, for this? From what the reports were saying, Mike Peake has yet to be charged in this incident. And really, if Mike Peake did not have that gun, he would probably be the dead one. And say if Mike Peake didn't have that gun, and Brandon Travis fired on him and killed him, Brandon Travis would be facing a hefty sentence in prison. And the gun he had was apparently stolen. Now, let's look at some news reports, and let me give some shouts out in the chat. Um, yeah, we got RPM, we got D Scott, we got Hybrid Catastrophic, Impact X83rd Power. Yes, D Scott, this is a live stream. I'm listening. Hey, how y'all doing tonight? Thanks for coming through once again. Lewis Conyer, what's going on? All right. See some of the comments of some of the things that you've already heard about this. Yeah, this is broadcasting live. I would usually do something like this on a video or edit, but let's do a live stream about it. See, let me get y'all thoughts, in real time. Uh Hybrid Catastrophic Impact X83rd Power says the pressure young black men go through is beyond stressful. Yeah. Pressure from our families, pressures from our peers, pressures from society. Is like you're looked upon as a violent person because of incidences such as these, and so on and so forth, with a propaganda machine already against you. So not only is your behavior checked on a regular basis, you also have to check yourself when you navigate in this world, because one wrong move and that's it. That's it. That is it. And I don't have a son, I have a daughter. So hopefully this reaches a man who has a son who still have yet to reach these ages. Like, hopefully stories like these, and yeah, stories like this need to be put more on the forefront as cautionary tales, and to increase our awarenesses, because like I said, even though there is somebody's son that is dead, there's three other black guys out there who's also sons to someone else. So this is something that, as black adults who've already made it past this kind of thing, this is something for us to be concerned with. I would never ever imagine opening fire on anyone for any reason on a college campus around that age. Around that age, hell, 19 and 21, I was not even nearly that kind of person. I'm not one of these guys who have these I used to be wild stories, or I used to do some crazy shit stories. I used to be around some crazy shit, but I'm 100% when I say I was the voice of reason in mostly, if not all of the situations. I had my moments too, because when you are a young man that stays away from crap like this, You're ridiculed by your own people. And this is probably the trap that Brandon Travis, God rest his soul. I mean, even though he tried to kill someone, like look at this. Like look at this. And he had both of his parents in his life too, by the way. This is not some son of a single mother who made a rash decision, even though there are plenty of those guys out there. And if you're a young black man growing up, you have been exposed to these guys. Let's read up a little bit on Brandon Travis, by the way, and then we'll get into some of these other little stories that I have pulled up too. And here goes Hybrid telling this is why I like for this style of stuff to be interactive as well. You know, you get some little tidbits of information that that you can learn from, and the viewing audience can learn from as well. Says New Mexico has always been known to be a very dangerous state. I mean, you never really hear about anything in New Mexico, maybe except for like I said, the story like this, a couple college campuses or whatever. Because when you're in a state where nothing really happens like that, it is a breeding ground for shit like this. It's a lot of things could fly under the radar because of our current mindsets. Because everybody, as far as mainstream media goes, they're always pointing the direction. They're always pointing the finger in the direction of places like Chicago or places like Compton and South Central LA and everything. Like I said, this is fucking New Mexico. So let me go ahead and share the screen and tell you a little bit about Brandon Travis, the deceased. And like I said, I'm gonna say this several times. This shit could have been avoided. Could have been very well avoided. And for those of you who like to, uh, be petty and, you know, try to say this material is mine, even though it's pretty much for all of the public to see. Fair use, fair use. So the title of this article right here, and I do have the link in the description on the main channel, Black Men Being Brutally Honest. Um, yeah, you could read these stories for yourself. I did put several links in the description. This story is entitled "Family Friends of Student Killed at UNM Campus Shooting Speak Out." And like I said, you can't really blame the family for real because they always want it. Because we as family members, we always want to have the best image possible for our loved one. That's the truth. That's something that's very human. You can't really blame people for that. I would play it for you, but I can't get the sound to connect to the StreamYard. So that would just me taking that'll just take me getting some more advanced equipment. So for those of you out there who like to drop some money that might be listening to this, hell, help your boy out. I mean, I do have my own plan for getting my equipment better, but that's gonna take a little bit longer. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying it though. I'm just saying that. But let's get back to this story. All right, let me read the title once again. Family, friends of student killed at UNM campus shooting speaks out. And let's see, it says Albuquerque, New Mexico. The family of the UNM student killed in an on-campus shooting after police say he shot at an NMSU student is speaking out and demanding answers on if Brandon Travis's death could have been prevented. Nearly 40 of Brandon Travis's family, friends, and coaches joined a Zoom call sharing who they knew Brandon to be. Goes on to say he was just so positive to be around, says one of his childhood friends. 19-year-old Travis was a 2021 graduate of Inglewood High School in Southern California, where he played football. He was just out of high school. Even with it, like his life was still too short. Like, damn, and I'm showing you this just to prove something to you guys. You know, he just had a great spirit about him. His attitude, everything about him was infectious, said Milvon James, his high school football coach. His parents said he came to UNM on an academic scholarship, so he wasn't stupid. He was, I mean, what he did was stupid, but generally he was a smart kid. He was also a member of the student organization Brothers Leading and Cultivating Knowledge, which supports black male students in their academic, personal, and professional goals through volunteering and community engagement. Yes, he was the kind of kid who would have grew up to be a pillar, to be someone who hit the ground running, someone who could be a role model and a leader and a mentor to young black boys. But unfortunately, he would never get the chance to do that. And we all make mistakes. We all do. I can't sit up here and pretend like I said I've been perfect, but we all make mistakes, and unfortunately, the mistake that Brandon Travis made costed him his life. It cost him his life. Now let's yes, and this kind of thing is obvious. The news of Brandon's death shocked those who knew him. It was emotional when I heard about it. His father was on the phone crying because that's something you would never expect to happen for him, said Scott, Brandon's youth football coach. Okay, now they go into talking about the incident. I explained it, but um, news reports can articulate things a lot better than when you're just talking freely. So this is what they say about the incident. According to investigators, Travis and his two friends conspired with another UNM student to get NMSU student Mike Peake onto the UNM campus where they plan to jump him. Police said surveillance video shows Travis shooting Peake, who then shot back and killed him. Like I said, you could not have expected Mike Peake to do anything else besides protect himself. The dude was being chased down by people who are already being violent with him. Now listen to this. Police say those involved that night told detectives they wanted payback after a fight with Peake and others at the UNM NMSU football game in Las Cruces back in October. A video of the fight has been circulating on social media. Yeah, that social media can be a motherfucker. It's one thing to get your ass whooped, but it's another thing to get your ass whooped and everybody can see you getting your ass whooped. Yeah, it's a lot of verbiage that you got to deal with. So they go on to say they see him down in the fetal position and he's being kicked repeatedly in black eyes, and someone comes out with a broken jaw, and law enforcement is standing there and nobody's doing anything, said Byron, Brandon's uncle. Yeah, it seems that I'm not gonna make excuses for law enforcement. I mean, when someone's being nonviolent, they sure know how to neutralize nothing, but when something actually happens, they act like they can't do shit. A confused person goes shoot in a school full of kids, and then all of a sudden they act like they can't do anything. They can't go in and prevent the deaths of other children. They sit there like a bunch of chicken shits. But when something actually goes down with a bunch of young black men fighting, they don't want to do anything about it. Not even so much a pepper spray. No one from the fight was arrested by state police. In a news conference last week, NMSU said they became aware of the video about 5 or 6 days after the fight happened. They said they were working on identifying who was involved. Meanwhile, NMSU athletics department said the student athletes uh, they knew were involved faced disciplinary action, but they did not elaborate on who was disciplined, or how. NMSU also says because there's no police report or arrest, the dean of students did not talk to their counterparts at UNM about the brawl. Yeah, shoot, it's a rival school. Like, fuck them. Why would he need to? Yeah, I mean, school rivalries can go really deep, but it never needs to come. it never needs to come to this. And they said the family was going to say it should have been more done. You know what should have happened? Nothing. Nothing should have happened. Nothing should have happened. Whatever the argument was, whatever it was about, and more than likely, when young men get in fights like this, it's about some fucking pussy. Now, I'm not here to speculate. I don't know what the fight was about, but it did involve the rivalry between those two schools. They were going to say that officer would have had a duty to act as well as the college. Had that been done, we possibly wouldn't be doing this interview with you. Yeah, there was nobody. I mean, sometimes kid has a code of silence. You know, while they wait for the investigation to play out, they're focusing on Brandon's life before that fateful night. I think a person is always better than what we consider the worst thing they've done. They have a lot of good in their life. They contributed to society, and Brandon is no different. And look, look, what Brandon Travis did was extremely stupid. I said what I said. Brandon Travis would not be dead if it was not for Brandon Travis. All right, let's look at okay, so it gets a little worse. Gun used by Brandon Travis during UNM shooting was stolen. Hmm. Let's see. They say state police have now confirmed the gun by Brandon Travis was stolen from Clovis, New Mexico. Some of his friends, including 17-year-old girl who helped Travis lure Peak into UNN campus, didn't know he owned one. I mean, how well could she have known him? Yeah, that was another thing. How you brothers, like a lot of young men, be getting duped. They get duped by the possibility of sex, and that amongst like a lot of your favorite content creators, that is often discussed. And the reason that we have black man spaces, in many incidences, I mean in many instances, excuse me, is to game guys up so stuff like this won't happen to them. You know, I cannot tell you the amount of stories that I have heard about, men being set up by women for the okey doke because of the possibility of sex. So they say in New Mexico, which gives you a little dive into what the law is. They said in New Mexico, it is illegal to carry a concealed handgun if you are under the age of 21. Said I wasn't surprised to learn that the gun was stolen because in many cases, the fact that minors who are too young to purchase guns end up going to the black market to get them. So the gun, they say the gun was stolen. So say that Brandon Travis did get a stolen gun. That means that the idea was to get revenge and shoot to kill if possible. One thing I've learned about people who carry guns, and if I were to ever carry the gun, is uh, if you take a gun out, either prepare to be shot or prepare to shoot someone. Because once the gun comes out, the person on the other end is gonna start thinking my life is in danger. So I mean, so his family's view of him, my assumption about the character that Brandon Travis has, I think that he was just a kid that just got caught up in the now. He wanted to be something else besides this good kid that his parents and all his friends so affectionately remember. Yeah, it's just for sometimes for young black men, and this is a problem with black people in general. We want to be cool more than we want to be good. And I'm afraid that this might be what young Brandon Travis got caught up in, trying to be cool, trying to look cool, trying not to look like a punk because he got his ass whooped because he lost a fight. So so what happened to the others? Let's get into that. What happened to the other guys that were involved? Since we have Mike Peake, who was simply trying to get his rocks off one fateful Sunday morning. We have Maya Hill, who is nicknamed Honey. And believe me, as a father with a daughter, if my daughter ever adopted the nickname Honey, I'd be asking her some questions. So how the hell you get that nickname? I know they had that television show Honey Boo Boo, but no, this ain't no Honey Boo Boo situation. Just what's going on with you? Shoot. So Maya Hill, she got charged, but yeah, I'm sure that they'll say something about the charges in the articles that I'm about to show you. So this is one of the kids, Jonathan Smith, um, who uh, who helped orchestrate uh, the attack that got his friend killed. I mean, can you really call this guy a friend? But that's who Brandon Travis chose to associate himself with. So let's read up a little bit. One of the suspects involved in an attack in New Mexico State, basketball player Mike Peake, in November has pleaded guilty for his involvement. University of New Mexico student Jonathan Smith pleaded guilty to felony charges of conspiracy to commit aggravated battery with great bodily harm and tampering with evidence as part of a plea deal. Smith could face up to 3 years in prison. Yeah. So for you guys listening, is that enough? Is 3 years enough for this stupid motherfucker right here? He participated in a tragic incident that caused somebody's family some great pain. So let me see if there's a okay, they further go into the incident. Police believe Smith conspired with fellow UNM students Elisha Upshaw, Brandon Travis, and Maya Hill to lure Peake to the UNM campus on November 19th in retaliation for a fight involving Peake and Travis at the October 15 football game between uh, University of New Mexico and New Mexico State at Aggie Memorial Stadium. Now, this is what they say about the girl. Hill, a 17-year-old college student, is accused of luring Peake to campus in the early hours of November 19th, about 3 a.m. Surveillance cameras in the parking lot of the Coronado Hall complex show Peake and Hill walking outside the dormitory. Travis Upshaw Smith approached them from behind. Travis pointed a gun at Peake, and Upshaw hit Peake once in the right leg with a baseball bat and again in the abdomen, according to police documents, before Peake started to run. Travis followed Peake. Okay, this is pretty consistent. Travis followed Peake with a gun pointed at him while Peake took out his own gun and the two began shooting at one another. Police say Travis fired several times and Peake fired back. Travis, 19, was killed in the shootout and Peake, 21, was shot in the leg. Hmm. Travis died at the scene. Upshaw and Hill had been charged with multiple crimes on January 9th. Upshaw pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of aggravated battery, conspiracy, and tampering with evidence. Upshaw was released to live with his mother in Maryland and has a February 1st scheduling conference scheduled. Said with his mother. He's been gone to live with his mother. Let me tell any young man under the age of 20 years old, or even if you're around your early 20s, look, um, the friend that you should listen to and follow behind and emulate. And this is going to be a shocking thing that I'm about to say. Uh, Not saying that this is all, but if your friend is the son of a single mother and he can't keep himself out of shit, that's probably the friend you don't need to listen to. All right. So is they got the video of the incident here. So they showing you the pictures, same pictures I kind of showed you. So they got Mike way up here thinking he about to get him some punani, and here comes Brandon following behind him, and here comes the other two yahoos. So oh yeah, they tell this they do the video play by play. So I could just go ahead and read this. Said video shows the November 19th attack on NMSU player Mike Peake, which led to 19-year-old UNM student Brandon Travis shot to death. New Mexico State Police investigators said Travis conspired with two other UNM students, Jonathan Smith and an individual identified as Eli, and a 17-year-old girl to lure Peake onto campus. Um, a lot of these reports, seem to have Brandon Travis as the front man in this. On the outside looking in, I see Brandon Travis as a kid who could not take an ass whooping, and he wanted revenge, plain and simple. These things aren't the best policy, people. You could end up like Brandon Travis. Travis can then be seen pointing a gun at Peake. The other two men were near Peake. One man then hits Peake with a bat before Peake runs toward the parking lot. Peake pulled out a weapon and fired it at Travis as he was running from Travis, who was shooting at Peake. Travis was shot 4 times, fell to the ground, and died at the scene. Peake suffered a gunshot wound to the leg that required several surgeries. Footage showed Footage further showed Peake walking up to a yellow Camaro after the shooting. That would be later discovered as he gave it to three of his teammates. Uh, he gave the gun, they said, wrapped in a towel to his teammates, and the teammates would turn it over to the assistant coach, and the assistant coach would turn the gun into the police. So the individuals that were in that Camaro were identified as NMSU basketball players Issa Muhammad, Anthony Roy, and Marcellus Avery. And I believe they said Marcellus Avery was also involved in the fight on October 15th. Said Peake has not been charged in the shooting, nor he should be. All right, I think we UNM student pleads not guilty for alleged role in November 19th shooting. Now, this is Elisha Upshaw. This is you're on number one, he's on tape. His role was he was the one that wielded the baseball bat. And he is just as involved as anyone else in that shooting. Albuquerque, New Mexico, Elisha Upshaw pleaded not guilty in the second judicial district court on Monday for his alleged role in a November 19th shooting on the University of New Mexico campus that also involved New Mexico State men's basketball player Mike Peake. Upshaw was formally indicted on January 3rd by a grand jury and has another hearing scheduled for February 1st. The University of New Mexico student was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including counts of aggravated battery, conspiracy, and tampering with evidence. He was released from jail back on December 22nd to live with his mother in Maryland. There are multiple conditions which he must abide. He cannot possess any firearms or have any contact with Peake or any of his alleged co defendants or witnesses. He also must abide by a strict curfew. See, if you make the right goddamn decisions, you have more freedom to do whatever you want. But when you don't make the decisions, they treat you like a fucking third grader and they give you a bedtime. So let that be a lesson to you. Hmm. Yeah. So let me stop sharing. Hmm. Yeah. So like we like to do a lot of this BS. We like to be like, well, I don't give a fuck, I don't care, whatever. And like I said, language warning. And one thing I do try to be careful with is when I did news stories in the past, sometimes their family members show up in the comment section, which I don't know if it's gonna happen for this particular story right here. But it's like it's like this. It's like this. It's like this. This is not something that is intended to be any kind of propaganda piece. I do understand and I do respect the feelings and the emotions of the family of Brandon Travis, but I gotta say this to them. Is like stories like this make me want to be more and more cautious myself as a parent of a young child who has to grow up and become these people's ages one day, you know. And yet since there's a female involved in this, yet another person I can point to, that I can point out and tell my kid, don't be like her. when i was listening to the when I was listening to the interrogation of Maya Hill, is let me go back to the three picture. No, that ain't it. Just bear with me one moment. What's going on, Ray Hama? Yeah, because like that's Jonathan Smith is on the left. Elisha Upshaw is in the middle. And the person whose identity or face you can't see, but she's sitting down and she's wearing a bonnet. Because some of y'all brothers like to say that bonnet hit different. That's Maya Hill. When I was listening to what the police video where she was being interrogated, well, interrogation is such a strong word. I would say questioned. She said the same thing that a lot of people who are involved in these incidences would say, and she probably she probably said a lot of what she said to avoid a certain amount of accountability. But yep, you were used, and now yet you're another example of how dudes can get Cardi B'd. Shoot, I mean, without the drugging, of course, but she is responsible for setting up a brother. She said things as if it wasn't supposed to be this bad. They were just gonna rough him up a little bit. I wonder when she figured out things were serious. When Travis pulled the gun out and put it in Mike Peake's face. One dude had a baseball bat. One dude had a gun. And she lured him on campus with the possibility of sex. Like, brothers, be careful out there. Can't trust a big butt and a smile. I don't know what her butt looks like though, but still, she do look a little thick sitting down. But hey, you know what? That's look. I wouldn't do anything. I'm just trying to see the reasoning behind this young man being able to get lured this easily. However, catastrophic impact X83rd Power says something similar happened near my neighborhood. Dude got beat up in a fight. Later that night, he snuck a gun on a metro bus and emptied out on a dude. Well, they can't take an ass whooping. That's when you get your ass whooped. That is a huge blow to your ego. I mean, you walking around here like you the biggest badass. Can't nobody touch you. Can't can't nobody. And then somebody comes out of nowhere and humbles you. Now, granted, in that fight there were several people involved. What made him choose Mike Peake out of everybody that was involved in that fight? Hybrid. What about Maryland? Maryland, keep that clown away from me. I know that it was Elisha Upshaw that had to go back to his mom's in Maryland. Let me see. Hybrid said Backpage.com was getting dudes robbed and killed because of the possibility of sex. Yeah, the possibility of sex. Rest in peace to Arthur Allen Roger Curry, because he was the one that came up with that saying, the possibility of sex. Basically, brothers will go above and beyond for these females, for these women, for a lot of these hoes, for the possibility of sex. Dudes will simp they fucking brains out. And one thing that probably had to be on the mind of Mike Peake, which is just pure speculation on my part, is yeah, I whoop these dudes' asses and I'm out to fuck they women. That was a double W for him. That was a double win. Who could pass that up? Yeah, that possibility of sex is a motherfucker. Telescope 3, what's going on? Sore loser trying to gank someone getting ganked. Sad, but it happens all the time. Nothing to see here. Not the college's fault. Not the cops' fault. Sad, moving on. Not nothing. No, and like I said in the beginning, I said Brandon Travis is dead because of Brandon Travis. Did he have to put? Did he even have to seek revenge at all? I mean, and then like I would say cock block, but it's not like it was a cock block, because the intention for bringing for little honey to invite Mike Peake onto the campus was to set him up anyway. Fellas, be careful when dealing with these women. They can get you set up. Facts. When the world police supposed to do something, yeah. Yeah. Like I said, police can do everything else, especially when brothers are unarmed and peaceful and had got their hands up in the air. Cops get brave and bold then. But let me tell you, probably what's on them cops' minds. They probably got that little Hillary Clinton super predator eyesight when they saw all those young black men fighting. Cause like cause I don't. For those of you who watch this channel, I can say black men, when we got our heads on straight, we're one of the most, if not the most, intimidating force on the planet. And it's reflected to the mentality of how Western society sees us. People can say they laughing at us all they want, but no, they fear us. They laugh to cope, but in reality, they fear us. And for that reason, you got a bunch of young strapping men throwing blows at each other and not giving a damn. Shoot. And then we live in the era of Black Lives Matter. Shoot. Let me see. Getting ass whooping, but taking it like a man can still garner respect. Yeah, shoot. A lot of friendships were created in fights. A lot of lifelong friendships. Not to say that that could have happened for these two young men, but let me tell you something. Putting all those men, let me tell you something, all those young black men out there fighting each other, put them in the right situation, put enough women around them, they chilling instantly. They chilling. RPM says, I grew up having to throw hands, plus my dad and grandfather were Marines. They didn't play that shit. So you had good teachers, man. Shoot. Respect to the armed forces. Shit. Darth Skater 7, our other habitual line stepper brother, he's a Marine. Shoot, much respect to the military and the armed services. Thank you for being brave where we can't be. Hmm. Hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power. There was a kid in my high school that would lose fights, small guy, but he never backed down and got mad respect. Shoot, yeah. It's worse when you run knowing that there's a possibility of getting your ass whooped. You never want to do that, you know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with self preservation every now and again, but I get what you're saying, hybrid. But I tell men today, don't back down even when society is trying to beat you down. Shoot. There's a lot of lessons. There's a lot of lessons you can learn growing up, but we got to give ourselves a chance to learn these lessons. I don't think Brandon Travis learned a lot of lessons. I think one thing. I think one thing was that he tried to keep up an image. He tried to keep up an image, and then when he got free to roam, he was like, "Fuck all that. Let's go ahead and try. Let's go ahead and try to be cool." I don't want young men to die trying to be cool. You see all kinds of pictures like this, and every time his father looks at this picture, there's tears in his eyes, and he can't control himself over something that could have been easily prevented. And what do you do when you get your ass whooped? I don't know. I was just kind of raised to believe that if I was able to do push-ups, get stronger, worry about focusing on, making myself a better version. So when I did run into this incident again, it'll be round two or something like that. Or even just like, even if I would never ever get a chance to redeem that fight, my mindset would probably moved on to better things. Shoot. If anything, if we are in the position to make some type of tangible difference, we can kind of start with the younger parts of black men, and we can tell them, hey, look at this story right here, and look, you don't want to be a part of that kind of thing. You don't want to you don't want to mess yourself up like that. You don't want to be to the point where you all either you almost lose your life or you lose your life altogether. So, what lessons are there to be learned from this situation? Uh, especially if you're very young, because like a lot of my audience we're not so much younger people. Hell, I'm a few years from 50. And I know some of y'all, you guys are 30 and above. But, say if you were in contact with a 19-year-old or 20-year-old, even a 17-year-old that has to go into situations that could possibly lead him to getting into fights and rivalry games. And rivalry games, those games are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be fun. I used to get plenty of fulfillment beating the shit out of a rival any way I could. Just not so much, fighting, but with anything, sports, women, which I don't get why a lot of people are so butthurt that men talk about women because this situation just about has it all. It's got sports, it's got fighting, got a little boo thing side story that ended badly, shooting, death, setting motherfuckers up. I mean, if the right person put this together, they could make a movie out of this. So when I hear people trying to police or trying to call themselves governing what men should talk about, I don't get it because it seems that a lot of what we're talking about reflects in everyday life. Dude about to die over a bitch. I mean, shoot, think about it. This story contains a sprinkle of just about everything. So if someone says, "Look, these hoes can set you up," that's not bashing women. That's there are too many news stories that is reflectant upon what that man just said. Don't let these hoes set you up. Hell, like I mentioned Cardi B earlier, who has admitted to drugging, robbing, and in many incidences violating men. That's not something she can sue for. That's confirmed. Chaos Rain, what's going on? Hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power. Telling a little story in the comments. Said I remember a bully trying to fight me because a girl liked me. He kept threatening me in class and people were hyping it up. So we went to the bathroom and fought. It was brutal and dude was bigger. You know what they say is not the size of the dog in the fight, is the size of the fight in the dog. Bigger than me, I lost, but the next day he shook my hand and I decided to try out for the wrestling teams. LOL. That's why you got to love for combat sports. I remember his name to this day. Dude bounced my head off the sink. I rushed him through one of the stalls. People were hyped. It was like a movie. LOL. I got a shiner and two lumps on my head. I did split his lip and fracture his orbital. He's like, oh yeah, he was like, if you think I look bad, look at the other guy. Yeah, man. But even though Hybrid did not lose, I mean, even though Hybrid lost that fight, he gained a friend from the way it sounded. He didn't have the urge to want to shoot this guy or kill this guy. It worked out itself. This is where a lot of this is where a lot of male leadership starts to come in. This is where a lot of male leadership start to come in. What about Brandon's dad? What about Brandon Travis's dad? Yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, what about the father? What about the father?" People only say that bullshit to deflect accountability from themselves. What about the father? The reason why I can say it in this incident is with his father being in his life, what did he miss? What did he miss? What did he miss that could have prevented his son's death? I mean, I mean, people said, and I mean, I'm reading this article. I'm just going back over it. He was just so positive to be around. He just had a great spirit about him. His attitude, everything about him was infectious. Let me tell you something. As a good kid, what one thing you have as a good kid is a ability to play on the dark side, and it'll fly under the radar. I couldn't the only two people that I could not be that slick with was my mother and father. Because although my parents were kind of high maintenance with me as far as my discipline went, because they saw how ugly this world was getting. I never forget the words of my mother. She said, "I just want you to be honorable and I want you to be honest." Hence the last word in the title of this YouTube channel, in the name of this YouTube channel, honest. Maybe Brandon Travis's parents should have told him the same thing. That's what I'm saying. And from the way it looks, Brandon Travis hadn't had that much target practice. Who had target practice? It seems Mike Peake, and that's why he is alive. And and is Mike Peake. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. And I know that, like I said, people who knew Brandon Travis, this statement will probably piss them off. No, Mike Peake does not deserve to be charged with anything for killing Brandon Travis. Brandon Travis, once again, I said, is dead because of Brandon Travis. Mike Peake was just defending himself. Mike Peake would have not had to kill Brandon Travis if Brandon Travis wasn't shooting at him. And it's very safe to assume that Brandon Travis was trying to kill Mike Peake. Look at Hybrid. Myself and Dude were reminisce about that fight. These things can still happen even being raised in a two-parent home. Facts. Facts. I know that there's a lot of word in these spaces about, the effects of single mother homes on, especially on young black boys. And that's something that still should be said and cannot be denied, because we can see it in our everyday lives. We can see the things that happen to these young men who don't have a temperance, who don't have a temperance that could have been instilled in them by their fathers. But there are those cases where both parents can be in the home and the kid can still go south. And as a parent of a young kid, I do think about that. Good kids can often get away with bad acts because they have credibility for behaving well. Facts. Like I said, like I was always myself viewed as a good kid. And my parents made damn sure in raising me, they could teach me not to fall into stuff like this. My mother was always afraid that I was going to get involved in a little thug activity because the kids a couple streets over, number one, who tried to claim that they were all gang members and stuff like that. But now that I reflect on it, my mother knew that I would get somewhat shunned by other kids because I wasn't about all that shit. And all the effort she put into raising me, she didn't want any of that being destroyed by stupidity. And it only takes like one incidence of stupidity to change things forever. If Brandon Travis had done everything right up until that point, that he did the one thing wrong, you can best believe that one thing wrong destroyed him. That's what we go through in life, fearing that we do all these things right and we make one little incident, one little mistake, one little boo-boo, and it destroys everything. It's all for nothing. Looking at this young man and all the progress he made in his life was all for nothing. The only thing that you can hope for in hearing the things that this young man was involved in before his life ended is that he had somewhat of a positive impact on people that he was involved with working with. That's the only thing. This man can't do anything else because of one stupid, tragic incident. Peer pressure is part of the issue. Great minds think alike hybrid. Cause it's like one thing that I really thought about was, I mean, if he was this good kid that was involved all within all of this, why in the fuck is he conspiring to I would say kill somebody, even though that might not even have been his original intent. The way he was shooting at the dude wildly, he could have killed him. Peer pressure, social media, mainstream media. Peer pressure because we all want to be cool. We all want to be popular. We want to be viewed as someone that you can look at and say, hey, that guy's cool. And black people worry about that shit way too fucking much. Social media. Social media is something that I would say I didn't have when I was Brandon Travis's age. I mean, we had just got internet. We got who remembers America Online? We had just got that. So it wasn't no Facebook. It wasn't even a MySpace then. It wasn't a Twitter, wasn't an Instagram, wasn't a TikTok. Can you imagine life before all of these things? I can. I definitely can. And I don't think social media is a completely bad thing because social media have you hearing about things that mainstream media won't push. That's why mainstream media hates social media. I heard about this story on Instagram. Exactly. Too many others in his ear gassing him up and putting that battery in his back. Man, you gonna take that shit, man? You gonna take that? They messed you up pretty good, man. We need to get them niggas. Me, I would have let. Excuse me. I would have left it alone. And if I had to put up with people saying, "Man, you got your ass whooped for a few months," or years later, I come back and say, "Oh man, remember when they whooped your ass at that football game?" See, my thing, I'd have been thinking, "Hey, you know what? At least everybody's still alive." At least I'm still alive, Some things, man, some things is okay to let go. Brandon Travis didn't let it go. Young black man, listen to me when I say this. Some things are okay to let go. because you ain't nobody got this life to live except you. Ain't nobody got your life to live except you, rather. He could have been Brandon Travis could have been the guy that was curled up in the fetal position and was getting stumped out at that football game that day. But he could have went on to become successful and change the world. And none of that shit would have mattered. Socially inept to a degree. Yeah, they care about likes. They care about likes on their photos. They care about being told positive things. That's why, like when I see something on social media I disagree with, I give pushback, and the reaction people give is very strange because a lot of people act like you ain't supposed to disagree with them. It's like the chance for social discourse is not there. You know, I run a social media hoping for social discourse and dissenting opinions, unless you're just being blatantly disrespectful. But yeah, this story right here is sad. It's sad. It's sad because it's sad because like it's young black men. It's young black men. Black men as a collective has some very messed up stigmas attached to us. Although we're the trendsetters, if you're a black man, then other groups are going to accuse you of having a BBC. It's, you're the most athletically gifted. Although we have those stigmas, we also have a stigma that we're lazy, we're violent, all we do is kill each other. So this does make me upset. Rogish, the build monger, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate the support and all the support I get for this channel, whether you are super chatting me or you cash apping me. So Rogish, thank you, man. Thank you. Hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd Power says the scary thing is that this won't be the last time something like this happens. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, it won't. And then, like, let's talk about another senseless loss of life. The Shanquello Robinson story. Nobody's getting charged in that. And that's crazy. It's like you see the video of her being attacked by her friends, and no one's getting charged. Are you fucking serious? But see, let's talk about, I spent a lot of time on Brandon Travis. Let's talk about Mike Peake. Even though he was the one that obviously had the better aim, to a degree, he has to be traumatized by this situation. Mike Peake up on the screen, the guy on the left in the maroon Under Armour hoodie. He's a basketball player for New Mexico State University Aggies. He was suspended, and I believe that he is. I don't even know his condition because he got shot in the leg. He's had to have several procedures to fix it since then. But think I spent a lot of time thinking about or talking about, the young man Brandon Travis and how, peer pressure could have led him to making such a dumb decision that costed him his life Let's talk about 21-year-old Mike Peake, a guy that feels like that when he goes out late at night to go get some poontang, that he has to carry a gun, even if it is a college campus. How traumatizing is this for him? Like I said, all he was do, all he was doing was going to visit a female to try to get himself a little some. And he's approached by three guys, which one apparently he got in a well, two of them apparently he got in a fight with at a football game weeks previous. He is then hit twice with a baseball bat, once in the leg and once in the midsection, with a gun pointed in his face. You don't think at any point of that little short time span he could have been thinking, "Oh no, I'm about to die. This is it." This is it. It could all end right here. Got to do something. So he broke off and ran. And Brandon Travis is chasing him, trying to shoot him. Brandon Travis did manage to hit him one time in the leg. Mike Peake, who I assume has been to target practice before, shoots back at Brandon Travis, completely neutralizing the threat to his life at the expense of another. So what happened to Mike Peake? He got set up by a trifling ass bitch who must have already had his number. And something gives me the idea that Little Miss Honey, that was her nickname. I'm not just calling her that. Probably took somewhat of a liking to Mike Peake, but was pressured by the deceased to get him to come to the campus so they can get him a little get back. Probably was the one that told him, "Hey, we just gonna rough him up a little bit," because that's what she told the police. So now Mr. Peake has trust issues. Man, I remember when a bitch tried to set me up. He has that story right now. She was all good, man. Dudes can't take an ass whooping. Then the dude tried to kill me. He always gonna have like some dude tried to shoot and tried to kill me. This man is 1/5 of 50 Cent right now. Wait a minute, whoa. No, it wasn't. I think 50 did 50 get shot 9 or 5 times. I think he got shot 9 times. I don't know. Either way, Mike Peake was a guy that survived the shooting. A shooting which he uh could have possibly been thinking, I'm about to die. That man said, that's that whole lead nigga shit. She might have been planning it for days. Pac got shot 5. 50 Cent got shot 9. Okay. Southpaw 2K1, what's going on? Thanks for coming through. These days, it might not be a bad idea to have trust issues toward women. It will help to keep you falling into their trap. And that is with several things. That's not just with, preserving your life, which, should be at the top of the list. You know, having sex, with a female could possibly cost you your life or cost you 18 years of a substantial percentage of your income. That is if you don't intend to get married. A woman can screw you over financially. I mean, she could wear your ass out till you fall asleep and then go through your pockets and be gone. you know, there's so many things to think about, especially with this guy. This dude, every woman he hook up with, that man gonna probably be looking in the closets, under the bed, out on the back patio. Yeah, this incident, and like I don't doubt it, this incident might have been truly traumatizing to him. Damn them other folks. This man been thinking, "Oh, I could have died that night, especially if I hadn't carried that gun." And then his teammates that went and got that gun and tried to hide it for him. Man, them guys need to be his best friends for the rest of their lives, because that's looking out. A lot of you who have friends ain't friends like that. I mean, you know your friends better than I do. He's gonna need serious counseling. Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna need some counseling. He almost died. He almost died. Like I said, if it wasn't for him having that gun, he probably would be dead. I don't think Brandon Travis was thinking straight. I think that Brandon Travis just wanted to get back at the man who beat the shit out of him. The parents of Brandon Travis. I don't think the police did enough, which they probably didn't. This incident needs to be further looked into. There's a change.org petition for Brandon Travis that has 1,000 signatures, and the link is in the description, like I said, of the main channel. 1,000 signatures for what? It's like someone pointed out to me. It's like they didn't believe that the parents saw the video before they made their public statements. And I mean, like, and here's the benefit of the doubt that I would give them. It would be very, very difficult to watch a video where your loved one is being killed, because if you watch that video, it's gonna be the last time you see that person alive. Definitely. That is a tough pill to swallow. He probably saw his life flash before his eyes. Yeah. So even when he came out alive, a part of himself probably died. Dude gonna be looking over his shoulder random times. I mean, this could be PTSD. This dude could have this dude could have serious PTSD. You know what's gonna be the problem with that? When he gets around his peers and people he know. Because the mental health of a black man is definitely not taken seriously. Believe me when I say this. The mental health of a black man is not taken seriously. The first people to tell you to go get some therapy, number one, is done in a very smug way. The first people that'll tell you are the people who put you there in the first place. That's why I always encourage strength in black men. But I also try to be apathetic to what black men go through. This guy went through a hell of an ordeal. And let's not forget the most important thing. He had to kill someone. Granted, I don't know if this guy's a complete angel or not. I don't know any other the incidents that he's involved in, but let's just focus, and I'm saying that for me, on the incident is involved in the topic for tonight. This man had to kill someone, even if it's survival, that still does something to you. Shit, soldiers who killed people have to go to a therapist on a regular basis, to a psychologist on a regular basis. Hell, in many police departments, I'm not saying it just because I've seen it on TV. They'll make cops take a leave after they kill someone, and that's for their own mental health and stability. Shoot, and and for real, I ain't worried about these punk ass cops that killed unarmed black people. I ain't worried about them motherfuckers. Fuck them. Fuck their mental health. But Mike Peake is not an unarmed cop though. He was protecting himself. I wonder how much he's got fed about how young black men, you know, are having such issues with being a part of Western culture that stems from that still to this day stems from slavery, the effects of long term effects of slavery, racism, Jim Crow, and now in present day we got all this self hate. Young black men wanting to see other young black men destroyed. Even black men as a collective wanting to see other black men destroyed. This whole mental clusterfuck of black men not being able to work together and not being able to unite under a common cause because of underlying issues that come up in situations such as these. That this ingrained disdain for each other that we can't seem to get rid of for anything. Even if you get your ass whooped, why would you want the other person dead afterwards? Maybe because it's this underlying hate issue that black men have toward each other. Not all, of course. There are many black men that are trying to work toward a better end, excuse me, for our community as a whole and for young black men in general. Hmm. Definitely PTSD. It's very devastating. He definitely needs to get help sooner than later. I'm quite sure they're working on it. Sean Taylor got shot on his leg, hit his femoral artery, and he bled to death. The cop in the Breonna Taylor situation got shot in the same place, and the video showed a lot of blood loss. Yeah, even if he survived the shooting, you're right. Injuries like that can be very serious. Dude, I knew his heart was racing 1,000 times faster than it normally would. I mean, imagine the amount of adrenaline. Rogers, if it ain't you, then you gonna have hella issues. Life is so reflexively precious to true humans. Yeah, life is precious. I watched a documentary. I watched a documentary about the executioners that killed the inmates on death row. Those guys talked about how messed up in the head and painful it was. They kept reliving it over and over again. I mean, it's different for a human than it is for an animal, you know, because with a human, they're living, they're breathing, they have a personality. You can communicate with them. They can communicate with you. They can have an impact in your life the way no other living creature on the planet can have. And it's a meaningful thing to take that away. It's not like killing a chicken. It's not like killing a cow. It's not like killing a pig. It's not like chopping down a tree. That's a whole human being. And hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power. What you said right there, that was some serious shit. Roger said, hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power. The executioner is supposed to be the one of the highest morality, but the system don't prepare folks for the gig in a moral manner. Is business and ego. Hmm. I can't imagine an innocent person put on death row, but it has happened. I mean, lots of blacks used to get wrongfully persecuted and put to death based on based on a lie. That's why they had to do things like outlaw the lynch mob. But anyway, look, talking about this is it's been long enough. Uh, this this I talk about incidences such as this to raise awareness in our people and to understand that yes, as black men, our younger counterparts have to go through maybe more serious challenges than we had to go through because like I said at that age we didn't have social media. We didn't have certain things that would probably have a bigger impact on our lives socially than what the normal occurrence would be. A lot of us had fathers to temper a lot of that shit for us. I know I did. I don't know where I'd be right now if it wasn't for my father. George Stinney, yeah. And how you doing, SNL Fitness? By the way, thanks for coming through. But think about this, man, and if you could take something away from this broadcast and tell your little ones, what would it be? Because there's male and female involvement in all of this. What up, Greg? Good to see you. Male and female involved in all of this. A young man died making a horrible decision. Another young man could have died, but had to deal with remembering this incident for the rest of his life because he could have died. Two other young men caught up in the stupidity. One wielding a baseball bat. A young lady who used her sexuality to set the man up. It was confirmed that she lured Mike Peake onto the campus for the possibility of having sex. That was the plan. They were going to have sex. I mean, at least that's what it was for him. For her, it was just setting this dude up for her friends. So really, you got 5 lives that have been changed forever. I mean, well, one of them were extinguished. So 4 lives that have been changed forever. And hopefully for the ones who perpetrated this act, lesson learned. Whatever debt that they have to pay to society should be paid in full. And hopefully it's done as harsh as possible. Because it wasn't like the person they targeted was the one that died. It was their friend that died. Elisha Upshaw, Jonathan Smith, and Maya Hill have to think about that shit for the rest of their lives as well. Greg said, I remember this incident from a few months ago. Yeah. Greg, yeah, I heard about this through Black Voices Uncensored on Instagram. And I just thought it was a very interesting story because the one thing that jumped out at me was the fact that it was a gunfight on a college campus. This is some crazy shit that you only hear like go on in neighborhoods. Like, if you stay, especially if you stay in a black area, you hear off to the distance some gunshots. Imagine being asleep in your dorm room and the shit happened right outside your window. You'll be thinking that there ain't no place on this planet safe for you to go. Dude, definitely a street spark. He probably sent something foul, but then again, I wouldn't go if I had a funny feeling. I wouldn't go if I had a funny feeling. Yeah. Like, yeah, he had to carry a firearm at 3 in the morning. Because when you're meeting up with a female at 3 in the morning, you know shit's about to go down. But you're also out in the wee hours of the morning when it's still dark. Which, what did 3 6 Mafia say? That late, ain't nothing out in the street except for the club and some legs. Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, carrying protection is pretty reasonable. Plus he was just involved in a big ass fight at a football game involving the people who went to school on that campus. The witching hour. She set him up with booty bait. Yeah, that has been confirmed. That has been confirmed. Yep, those are the other 3. Dude on the left could do 3 years in jail. I'm not sure about the one in the middle. And that's the girl right there. She was remanded to a juvenile detention center because she's 17. There are so many men that are in jail or dead because of broads like this. Because of fee-fails like this. And the first thing a motherfucker want to say is, the first thing a person wants to say is, that when we are trying to warn brothers about this type of thing, that we're bashing women. Well, that young lady right there just disproves all of that shit. If all females were as innocent and pure as the driven snow, then yeah, they would not deserve the commentary that they get sometimes. But you know, kind of with this incident, they kind of do because somebody ended up dying. Greg, they call it the honey trap. Man, Southpaw 2K1, you know the irony of you saying that? The young lady's nickname is actually Honey. That's her nickname. So yeah, the honey trap, booty bait, all of that. Tragic irony. You said it's in the UK. Well shit. Somebody from the US must have gave them that idea. Cosmic placement. Yep. Cosmic placement. Well, and Southpaw 2K1 said, damn. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. Like, check out once I go out the air, check out the links in the description for those of you who are watching on Black Men Being Brutally Honest. Now, if you're watching on BMBBH2 and Kev We Trust, just go to the main channel and just follow all the links, follow all the story, and you know. Said exactly Southpaw 2K1. They also call it honeypot in the intelligence community. Somebody was supposed to get a lesson out of that. Tupac said it best: when a chick gets horny, niggas die. Yeah, that's why a lot of these club incidences went south. Do you believe that club incidences go south just because yeah, it's because niggas run into each other? But 9.5 times out of 10, that be over some chick, man. People think I'm crazy when I say this. Uh, Black men, we put women at the top of the list far too much. I mean, as far as sex goes, if you're a heterosexual man, yeah, chicks are gonna be somewhat at the top of that list. But like in common sense decision making, we involve them a little bit too much. Yeah, Rogan, I pointed that out earlier. I felt a little old saying that because she was 17. Go ahead, say it, hybrid, but she thick. Because that's exactly the case. If you want to get put on life support, go to a house party in the hood. Yeah, man. Shoot, how many times, like, how many news stories you see? Even like when the first 48 was on the air, how many times you hear about a house party or some dude or some girl's birthday party getting shot up because some dude couldn't control his fucking emotions? Yeah, there it is. But Kev, she thick. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even though this incident is no laughing matter. Even though. So anyway, let's and then, this is Rogan. She's talking about her age. That chick is in the game. She grown as hell when she start participating in gangster shit. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because I don't mean to sound kind of weird about this, but when I was that age, I knew exactly what I was doing. Everything I knew what I was doing. Seriously. And they it seemed to me they're trying to give her a slap on the wrist because she's 17 years old, and I guess in New Mexico that's still considered a minor. But see that shit really like should not make a difference because if you are a black man, if you are 16 and you do some shit, they do their best to try you as an adult. So for younger black men, please move more intelligently. Although a lot of the disadvantages, the opposite, I mean, well, a lot of the advantages that the opposite sex has is not fair. It is what it is. Emotions and liquor are a very dangerous combination. Exactly. I don't know. Yeah, that's fact. I don't know if alcohol was too much involved in this, but I'm sure they could have got a hold of some. These youngsters are growing up bitch made man. It's sad to have to watch. Yeah. Yeah, well, Rogan, when me and you were younger, if we lost a fight, either we got stronger and went back to get our get back in that fight, or we just let things ride. But never it would cross our minds to kill the person. Like Pop said, you win some, you lose some, but you lived. You lived to fight another day. So yeah, yeah, I'm about to call this a night. I'm about to call this a night. Yeah, this it's been 2 hours. If y'all ain't got the message by now, you probably won't get the message. But I tell you one thing I do appreciate is y'all guys sticking with me no matter what I talk about on this channel, whether it's used for comical purposes or I'm trying to give you guys a serious message. So that right there is that right there means a lot to me. And Ray Hama, yeah, I probably would take you. I probably take you up on that offer, but just be sure to go easy on the old man. Yeah, man. But let's take a look at these two young men. It's really the waste of two lives. I mean, one is dead, the other one is changed forever, and it really did not have to be this way. And we, as older men, we got to look out for these young boys sooner or later. I mean, even if it's to give them a good word or some positive reinforcement, um, that's something that they need. And that's something in Western culture for them, as far as they go, is taken for granted on a day to day basis. And you never know. A positive compliment could make all the difference in the world for young men such as these guys. You know, so you never know. You could save somebody's life saying something. Yeah, but what's done is done, and let stories like this be a lesson to you guys. Yeah, because a lot of the times we don't care until it happens to us. I'm just here to let y'all know that I do care. And that is it for now. And that's pretty much all I have to say. And I will see you guys next time. Like Mr. Hama said in the chat, long live masculinity. um, and oh, yeah, but on a serious note, may God bless his family because his family, and like I said, his family saw a good kid. They saw someone that they thought they could set free in this world. But as parents of young children, let me tell you something. Let's put the microscope under everything that we do and everything that we teach our kids, and make sure that we go through their upbringing with a fine tooth comb, because I'm sure when the parents of Brandon Travis sent him out into that world, they had no idea this was going to happen. They did, in other words, they didn't see it coming. So Just looking at this chat. Um, yeah, see if there's anything else that, Yeah, but yeah, that's it. Well, anyway, thank you for sharing in this once again. And I usually do the long live part. Um, yeah, let me do it anyway. Just long live the habitual line steppers. And Kev, we trust. My utmost condolences to the family of Brandon Travis and to the mental recovery of Mike Peak and those in the situation that are still around who had the malicious intent. I hope you learn your lesson and you're punished accordingly. But as far as I'm concerned, that's my take on it. This is Kev. And just remember this, especially with a story like this. When you don't give up, people, you win. And that's on many, many levels. Okay, till the next time. And remember, BMBBH News, news without the WS. Later.